Making my Supra sound like an F1 car, Adam LZ. Now, we never watched Adam LZ on the channel. I ain't gonna lie. Don't roast me. Don't roast me now. We watched a lot of people, but not Adam LZ. So yeah, that's what we're tapping into today. And I don't even watch them too much, so this gonna be my really. This actually might be like my second or third video from Adam, bro. I ain't gonna lie. So we finna see his personality and shit like that too.
My dream engine and deciding I wanted to put it in a chassis that I could beat the crap out of.
Oh, Ford Fusion is tough. Yeah, nah, that's low-key a sleeper. That's a good sleeper.
Now,
It's kind of known though.
This car was a glorious day. I myself had never even heard of four-rotor, only on YouTube videos before, and to get to hear it in life was something very special. But there's one thing that wasn't quite right.
Oh my God.
It didn't have that signature high-pitched four-rotor.
Nah, that shit still sounded brazy. Hold on, nah, run it back. I ain't gonna lie, I low-key could have settled at this, bro. I ain't never heard a Supra sound like that.
It didn't have that signature high-pitched four-rotor sound like you hear in the 787B, a lot of Mad Mike's cars.
If his shit sounds like that by the end of the video, I'll stop gooning for a month.
People were saying that the engine was built wrong, that there was an issue, and that's why it didn't sound like it should. But we knew exactly what the problem was. What you see here is the header that was on the engine, both the old engine and the new engine, and this is what is responsible for 90% of sound. As most of you guys already know, on any car, the exhaust plays a huge role in sound. The size, the shape, muffler versus no muffler. But a header or a turbo manifold,
Mad Mike is another goat.
Role in the pitch of
I heard of him too.
With the lengths of the runners and how they merge. There's an incredible amount of labor hours that go into building a header like this. So as you can imagine, when we were having nonstop issues with oil pressure and other random things going on, there wasn't sufficient time to rebuild the header. But fast forward to now, it's the off season. We've got an engine now that has literally been so reliable, I hot lapped it until it melted the seam sealer off of my chassis. My smoke, yeah, I'm fire.
Oof, that's not gonna be fun to deal with.
And now we're gonna take a deep dive into not only achieving that high-pitched sound that we're after, but also optimizing power, which leaves a lot to be learned, and you guys are gonna learn with us.
Shit. If he gets his shit done, like I said, bro, I'll stop gooning for a month. I don't know if I'm gonna follow that shit, but shit, well, I'll keep my word, bro. I'll keep my word. Why are they doing it like that? This is bro, if they're doing it like this, that's why it's gonna take forever. You can technically it's like I don't know what they're called, but they're like blue plastic flexible tubes that you could build headers off of. If they're trying to mock it up like that, that's why it's gonna take so long.
Now the biggest problem in the rotary world is there's a lot of
who got exposed?
So when we
Float.
built this header,
Sean posted Float's Mac on his IG. Yeah, it was pretty bad, bro. It was pretty bad.
Design with us unless we ordered an entire engine from
them. You lying? You deaf?
In the past year or two, I've made friends with a lot of people in the rotary community. Logan from Define AutoWorks gave me a few tips, and he has an incredible.
Technically, okay. I have two goons. I have one in the morning and one in the night. I'll take my night one out, and I'll keep the morning one.
Arguably makes the most power on YouTube. And David from Mazai Formula, who also has some pretty incredible rotary builds, pointed me to some 787B engineering papers that cause things to escalate pretty quickly. Now, in those papers, it doesn't go into as much detail on the exhaust header as I would have liked, but it does go into great lengths about the telescopic throttle bodies that the 787B had. If you're not familiar with it, they basically had trumpets that could slide inward and outward, and that would move the power band either to have more mid-range or more top end. It's very cool, and it's something we always talked about trying to implement on the this build. It's not rocket science that with most NA engines, when you have a longer throttle or a longer intake runner, you make
Last
more
night,
torque
Goon.
because it generates velocity.
Wait, is it still up?
Torque,
You definitely.
but
Yeah,
at
nah,
higher
nah, nah,
RPM,
nah.
you want less restriction, so usually a shorter runner length will give you more of that peak power. But in this document, they actually share the different lengths that were used to achieve different peak torque. And looking at that information, it pointed towards us having way too long of intake runners, which is something we never really considered. So before we
God
start
damn,
messing
I
with
wasn't
this mess
prepared for this, bro. This is low-key a lot of
we're gonna
information. I gotta
see if
lock
any
in.
power can be found
I was
there.
not
Using
expecting a
the
video
old
like
header
this.
as
Is
the
this videos always like this? This shit is mad
control.
informational. Hold on.
This gives you an idea of our existing intake setup, which actually measures out to be about 24 inches from the tip of the trumpet to the face of the rotor. And according to the engineering documents, this would be optimal for achieving a peak torque of around 5,500 RPM. Where the rest of the components on this engine are targeted for a much higher RPM, so we said, let's shorten it as much as we possibly can, which resulted in Johan fabricating this masterpiece, which not only allows us to achieve the shortest length they ever used on the 787B, but it leaves room if we were ever able to develop a telescopic throttle
W
system,
weld from
we can
whoever
get the
did that. I don't
additional
know.
length. Now,
You see this shit right here though? Clean gas. You ever buy some whack gas test pipes? I'm telling you, that shit finna look all types of different colors. This shit is beautiful. This shit is beautiful, bro.
Instead of having to
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of info. All right, bet. I was not prepared for that shit, dog. I ain't gonna lie. I could definitely gotta lock
Being at
in.
the racetrack, it can get chaotic, especially when stuff goes wrong. But as the driver, it's our job to remain calm. If any of you guys are in e-commerce, specifically in order fulfillment, you know that that's its own. But
This is a promo? Nah, no promo. No promo, no promo. You put TEs on this shit? I ain't gonna lie, them overrated out wheels. This part is an ad, I think. Yeah, skip that shit, bro. Honestly, still, like I don't think it's gonna sound high pitched, but it sounds like good like that, bro. Damn, that shit sits low as fuck in the engine bay. God damn.
Now the plan isn't to drive the car with the old header and new intake combo, but we want to see what difference the intake made without having
That exposed
the
free,
header into the
bro?
equation. So
I don't
we're
think
about to do
so.
a couple test pulls with the very short
Yeah,
intake
nah.
runner.
Sean been the villain
Is it gonna
of
pick up power?
everything lately.
I think it's going to. I'm crossing my fingers that this will have a bigger gain than the header even would have, and maybe we'll crack 500. Freddie, what's your bet? What do you think is gonna happen?
This morning I said 500, but it was like 40 degrees out.
Uh-huh.
Now it's like what, 65 or so?
Yeah, but the dyno takes into consideration for weather.
Yeah, but it's NA motor. I think it'll make peak of like 480, but probably lose a solid 50.
Bro,
5,000.
that'd be so
So, I mean,
crazy to me.
before
Like,
you can-
people put in so much work to build like a max effort NA build, and they only like make 500. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you might as well just throw a turbo on it and just boost it. I understand for the art of it and for the sound, but okay, Adam LZ's a little different. He wants that F1 sound, but any max effort NA build is kind of a waste of time in my opinion, bro.
We kind of see the shape of the graph, and we'll see how that changes now that we've got the short runners.
Now, max
Yo,
effort
what do you
NA
think's
build
gonna
does set you up for boost later on, but
Gain 20.
it's not the cost though. The cost.
So it made, what was it, 450 before?
Yeah.
So me and Freddie bet 50, you bet 20. Whoever's the closest, free lunch.
Who's paying?
I don't know, probably me.
Wait,
Wait, but what if I win? Then what happens?
We pay for lunch.
Oh, all right. I like how that
W
works.
worker.
I think Johan's got good odds. We're just being optimistic.
It's been a while since we've had a Jolly Gator trip.
Dude,
I mean, I wanted to make 500, but I don't know how we're gonna gain 50 horsepower from.
on paper, our other intake was
Right.
designed for really, really low RPM, and this engine's designed for really high RPM, so hopefully it likes the shorter intake.
You probably get like a little 20-30 horsepower gain. Nothing crazy. Sean trying to Bree kind of locked in, so it's not gonna happen. Yeah, Bree. When everybody unfollowed Sean, Bree was one of the only niggas who like stayed following him. thing sounds insane, bro.
It was rich. You can see in the power that it dipped down, but usually when it's rich, that means that the engine is consuming less air and there's still more fuel left over, therefore it's making less power. However, you can see up top at the really high RPM areas where torque starts taking over and holding a little bit better than it did before. So as suspected, this might be a little bit too short, but that's why we built it with room to extend if we need to bring this peak torque and move it around. Welcome to the point in the video where I selfishly promote my own brand to try to get you to support the channel.
Nah, but goddamn, 2 promos, Adam, goddamn. Ooh, hold on. Craziest sounding Supra I've ever heard in my life. That shit was, nah, that shit's beautiful.
According to the 787B papers, it said that with our intake length, with these runners, our peak torque should have been very, very low. But in reality, with that setup,
Sean doesn't expose anybody. He just gets the info from various sources. I don't think he really digs.
About 8,000 RPM. So it makes sense that when we shortened the runners, we moved where I wanted to make peak torque over drastically, but I think it was way too far. The fact that we're still going up at 10,000 RPM maybe would work if it was a drag motor or a circuit motor, but in drifting, this thing's gonna live up in that peak torque area, which I think is better to have at 8,000 RPM just for the longevity of bearings, coolant temperature, exhaust temperature. But it is interesting how it,
I mean, the fact that it can go to 10K is still pretty impressive.
This way, where now we have the divot here, which I believe is actually caused by the resonance of what's going on with the waves entering
downshift
into the intake.
demon.
But what's cool is now we have two data points from both the short intake runner setup and the long intake runner setup. So we can experiment between the two or rock the short one and put really long trumpets on them and maybe 3D print some different examples. But most importantly, we have our control with the old header. So now we can work on the new header, achieve that sound without throwing two variables at the car at once. Because if we went and put that intake on with the new headers, we might have thought that the headers is what caused the power band to shift when that really wasn't the case. Even though we had the support of vibrant performance with something as complicated as a 4-rotor header, we didn't want to just guess and check when building the next version. So my close friend Matt the Ginge, who you guys know as my spotter, came by to not only scan the old headers to take measurements,
what a car drive,
car, so we could conceptualize and build out the next system in CAD. With the 3D scan of our old header, Ginge was able to
graded and squeeze
inside of the software
it's like
our suspicions that
there's perks to both, bro.
Which is probably the reason why we didn't have that traditional 4-rotor sound. We had nearly a 7-inch variance between the shortest and the longest runner, which is a pretty big deal when the overall length was around 40 inches. Since the header was now off the car, Johan was actually able to go in and to confirm what we found in CAD with the runner lengths being different using a water displacement method where he would fill up each runner with water to see if they were indeed different lengths or not. Because with all those bends, it gets very challenging to measure. You can't just use measuring tape for something like that. Now using 3D modeling, Ginge played
those I'm telling you, these are the tubes I was talking about.
Different diameters, and even created a
Now the hardest part to really like, you know what sucks about fabricating headers? Once you get the tubes all right, you get the 3D modeling right, and you actually fabricate it, you're not gonna know how it sounds until you actually literally put it on the car and you know, put it on the dyno or just drive it. So it kind of sucks, bro. If they fuck this up, they're gonna have to redo all of this dumbass shit. There's a lot of math that goes in just the sound. Like that's why the LFA took years to develop in terms of what it sounds like, bro. That's why no exhaust sounds like, not no exhaust sounds like it, but when you put an exhaust on the LFA, it sounds shit. It only sounds good from the factory because it took years to develop the headers and shit.
Would theoretically make the most power. He ultimately came up with this header design that was based around the radius bends that we had from Vibrant in the diameter that we were going after.
When the twitch back, like 12 days. Like 12 days, bro. We soon, bro. I got banned for like 30 days. We got 12 days left.
Before building an entirely new header from scratch, which would take many days, we wanted to confirm that the equal length theory is the actual sound that we are after. So Johan decided to take a stab at modifying our old header to have equal length runners, because some of the cars that have the high pitched sound that we are after had very interesting design that didn't look equal length, and we wanted to see if the sound is more a factor of those lengths or if it has to do with the bends that are going on the runners.
I'm telling you, bro, a lot of math involved in this shit.
I've said it many times before, but we are unbelievably grateful to have the support of Vibrant Performance. Not only does having the best fabrication materials make it easy for Johan to be a master of his craft, it also allows us to continue experimenting, learning, and share with you guys what works best so everybody wins.
How long you want to see License Snow go on a run?
We're chasing sound.
Snow's not coming back soon, gang. We gotta see if License survives.
High tone.
Right. Not at all. The easiest thing to do right now is to modify this header, unfortunately. It's done its job, it's proven itself. I'm pretty stoked and proud that it withstand the abuse that it did.
Oh yeah.
All the heat cycle, the fire, like some of the areas this is 304 stainless, so the nickel content is pretty low. You could go to a higher grade stainless and avoid these issues where once the nickel starts to, like, in easy terms, come off, you're gonna start seeing corrosion and rust or stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's just the amount of heat that is going into this thing. Apart from that, it's held up, the welds haven't cracked. Number 3 looks like it's gotta be extended, but once we modify 1 and then
But honestly, like,
do 3.
that shit not gonna matter though. It's like, it's a drift car and they gonna drive it. It's not a show car, so headers rusting like that and turning colors, like, it's
Once
whatever.
we modify 1, we could play with number 2 and get it away, you know, go down, because we have to keep in mind that we have our intake, which I try to make it as equal length as I could. I thought I was closer than this, but now with this one, we could play with that, give us ourselves a little more clearance on the frame rail. Hopefully,
1.5, brother. I'm gonna keep it
So,
like
if
this.
these were individually
I'm
placed,
chilling,
which
bro.
The original plan was
Boy,
to
really
put
wants that
the
1.5.
on the housings. Literally, I could just.
It is a lengthy
run
video,
like that.
gang,
Yeah.
but
So I'm gonna cut it here.
it's what it is with
and
Adam.
Put it back in place and then start like playing with lengths. See what is the shortest way I could get.
With videos like these, like, you're gonna remember like 10% of the shit and forget 90, but you'll learn some shit when you really watch like in-depth videos like this. That's what I fuck with. Like, you ever watch like any car build channel, like story channel from DDE, or you watch TJ Hunt, like his off main channel shit? This is what you're like. I didn't know what a bunch of car parts was when I first started getting into cars, like, and I learned regular shit like what a crankshaft does, what a camshaft, what is this, variable timing, all this, yada yada yada, from just watching videos like this. So I'm okay with the one time, bro.
So this piece that I cut off is 25 inches long, measuring the center of the radius. I measured the difference to match this number 4, so I gotta take away the new tube from here to there. It has to be 3 inches and a quarter shorter. I just gotta be mindful everything I cut to kind of add to that.
Nah, bro, why is he doing it with the fabricated? Nah, you got to do that with the rubber, the rubber plastic bendable fucking tubes, gang. Fitting it like that's gonna take way too long. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna edit this out. Here you go, bro. Look, these modeling systems will literally help you so much, bro. I know he 3D like did it in CAD and stuff, but bro, this shit is way. It'll give you the physical dimensions literally right in front of your face. It'll help. Yeah, nah, this is gem right there, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
How you doing, bud?
Now you say that again and point the camera with those places,
Yeah, exactly.
and then you did my job. First thing, so technically speaking, they're not equal length, but this is off by a quarter inch, 1/8 inch to a quarter inch. This one was the most drastic one that we had to change. Number 2 as well. Number 2 was the longest. The only downside that I ran into was when I first mocked up the front tube after I modified number 1. It was touching on the frame rail. Given the hard time I had remaking number 1, I didn't want to redo anything and start over. And for how much clearance I needed, I'll cut the subframe, which is braced inside, and it only needed a little bit. Once you cut it and you look inside, you can see the reinforcements of the subframe. So I left it alone in my car. It'll be fine.
Plenty strong.
Yeah, when I modified number 3, I knew it was gonna be sitting closer to intake runner number 2. I just wanted to make sure.
I ain't gonna
that I
lie,
was not
fam. That
touching
shit
it.
is.
So now what I
Even though it's not touching, that clearance is kind of crazy. Holy fuck, brother.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's like what, 60-second rounds in drifting though. It's not like heat's gonna really be an issue. But that still is mad close though. I don't know.
that I was not gonna be touching. So now what I'm mucking up, I just grabbed a piece of scrap metal and took a couple of angle measurements in that area so that I could muck up a heat shield that would pretty much
okay, bet. That makes sense.
From the heat of the header, especially now that it's closer. But yeah, we'll put that reflective tape on this, so it helps with heat. I did put the gold tape on the frame rail, and when the car came back from Polka and caught fire, I took all that tape off, and behind the tape it was like nothing happened, but around it you could tell the car was on fire.
So it actually does something.
Yes, it definitely does, and we'll add that tape as well. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same shit, and then he literally just said that. We doubted him, bro. We doubted him heavy.
To have fun welding all the runners. We're gonna take a stab at this mess under here. So we did repaint the engine bay, but because everything was still in the car, we didn't really address all of this crap. It's oil-soaked soot that could potentially catch on fire again. So we're gonna try to scrape it off and then it'll put like a thin coat of paint or something. The problem is it was just getting so hot that it was literally catching the seam sealer on fire. In a perfect world, we would have started with the chassis and gotten rid of all that first, but I don't think we expected the EGTs to get as hot as they did, because usually rotaries don't even last that long.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Damn, I thought this car didn't have problems. This shit has heat issues already. Bro, that shit seems so tedious. No way. Bro, there has to be a better way to take that shit off, bro. Oh my god. Dog, this is why we need AI and robots for shit like this, my nigga. I don't live to exist to scrape shit off the bottom of my fucking subframe and shit. Like, what do I live as a human for to do this shit?
Torch, you can kind of see what areas are more prone to catch fire. Like this, I've all kind of gotten rid of all the sound deadening, so you see like nothing's really doing anything. Then where there still is sound deadening, you see how it's like flame. Yeah. So you know, like, okay, let's probably take some more off of that. But the header primarily is like in this region, so as long as we don't see too many glowing things like this, there's not a big chance of it catching fire again. Right.
I didn't see a fire. If they show the engine bay, bro, I think they should put a fire suppression system in it too. They probably have it, but I didn't see it, or peep it at least. But a lot of times it's just like, it's like a big ass seafoam cloud that comes into the engine bay. It kind of sucks to clean up, but it definitely saves cars.
Header with equal lengths ready to go in the car. I should probably mention that this isn't only for sound. By having equal length runners, you also optimize the scavenging that's going on inside of the engine, which should make more power. And the simplest way to explain this is when they're not equal length, you have pulses that are entering the collector at the same time instead of being equally spaced out, which reduces the scavenging effect of that exhaust pulse pulling air into the intake port in the engine. So by having them equally spaced out with equal length runners, theoretically it should pull more air into the engine and we should see more power as a result on the dyno. It's almost that time that me and Johan are so eagerly waiting for. We're about to hear this thing.
Yeah, it better sound different.
I know, right?
Pressure, bro, pressure. He just spent literally the whole day doing this shit.
I want to hear
it.
Nah. Never sound like a typical full rotor, completely different if it does sound right.
Like I said, bro, if this shit sounds good,
have that higher pitch,
I'll stop gooning in my night.
I'm wondering if we'll also get the equal lopes at idle that you usually hear, the bop, 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 bop. But maybe because our lengths were a little off is why that was getting more like bop, 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 bop. So we'll see if it does that too. But yeah, she's all together, ready to fire up. We'll see how it runs. Might need to make some small corrections for idle, but then we can throw it on the dyno, just fueling, and see what happens. You'll notice we learned our lesson a long time ago about running this car in the shop. It literally covers every single car within the entire shop with a film of oil. So that's why you always see us rolling it by the door. Even when we started after doing some mods, just to let all the rotary smoke go outside.
I'm surprised they kept it like this. Usually it's just like take out the dash and get this shit as close as possible to the steering wheel.
It sounds a little bit different, but we definitely gotta let it warm up before we'll really know.
Hey, hey, let me see.
It's hard to like
Bro, that definitely sounds way better than beginning.
That wasn't quite right.
Oh yeah, no, way better. A fucking million times better already.
It's hard to like fully tell right now.
Nah, you could tell, gang. You could definitely tell.
Really know.
There's definitely a higher pitch. Oh yeah, nah, you could definitely tell.
It's hard to like fully tell right now. It's seeming like the car wants a lot more fuel, which is a good sign because that means we're getting that scavenging effect, which means it should make more power. But I'd rather just adjust everything in the dyno. It's a little bit easier than just trying to free rev because so much happens and it's so quick. Then I'm gonna put it on the dyno, run it through, and then we'll be able to hear what this thing sounds like at higher RPM, but it's seeming like it's a little bit higher pitched already.
Yeah, it's definitely higher pitched, bro. They might actually get that F1 sound, I ain't gonna lie. It sounded close and he was just like blipping the throttle.
I have enough seat time on this car to actually feel pretty comfortable running it on the dyno and making adjustments. But for whatever reason, no matter what I do, it keeps breaking up, which tells me we might have a bad plug situation. I can add a lot of fuel, I can take a lot of fuel out, and it's still having the same breakup in the same area. So maybe just it's time for a plug change. We're gonna swap them and see if that helps.
Shit, I mean, the way his car be catching fire from what I've seen, brother, them shits probably be melted.
Doctor.
Doctor, they look normal.
Yeah.
Look identical, so that's good. But I think Adam might have found something, so we'll find out. But the plugs look good. It's rare when we switch plugs on this car, and with the R35 coils, you know, it's not a common issue. But
no, that's not bad at all. Shit, I thought, bro, once you take them cars to, when you run your car really hard like that, especially this car, it's not an uncommon thing to fucking melt the spark plug. That even happened in race series cars. Like if you're really running it that hard. Oh my god. A million times better that shit sounds.
First full pull, we were actually having issues because we had an injector unplugged. But first full pull, and we had massive gains. The fueling's not even close to right. Look at the massive mid-range gains there. Cracked 300 foot-pounds of torque, which is the most torque this thing's ever made. So I think we're onto a really good path right
No, that might be the best sounding Supra I ever heard
I did the purple one after the white one, look.
You did a thing. Look at that.
I made a change and it made more power and it got rid of the little dip. Look at me go. I'm so proud of myself.
Hey, 470 is not bad.
Freddie who?
I was shitting on NA builds a little bit earlier. But then again, when you do build an NA build, bro, you get all that power throughout, like, the whole rev range. It's not like you get some high-end shit, you know what I'm saying?
Really like
so there is that to it, too.
Degree in it, and it picked up almost 20 horsepower up top.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put another degree in it and see what happens, just where it likes it.
Right.
So what they get, like a 30 HP
One thing
gain?
I've learned, not the ideal environment for a dyno. We don't have a pass-through window, so we're not able to have good air circulation in here. The dirty air and the exhaust gases get mixed in. Cars tend to lose power because of that. So I let it sit for a while. I'm gonna try adding a degree of timing. Fingers crossed, we could crack 500. I'd be really happy, even though it's just a dyno number. Mike still hasn't vaped, so congratulate him in the description.
Yeah.
On one hand, I'm gonna say we didn't meet our objective, and that was to make this thing sound like a 787B. I think there's something else that gives it that high-pitched noise. I don't know if it has to do with the bends coming off the header, or possibly the location of the collector. I do know, getting into the real deep dive of physics, there's something called a first, a second, and a third order harmonic that have to do with where you place the collector. Maybe that's where our sound is, but the good thing is, to our surprise, there's actually a huge performance gain of doing the equal length. So much so that it actually got rid of this dip that was maybe caused by oscillations before, and took our peak.
GG's to the fabricator, bro. That boy Adam is not happy, bro. That boy finna make him do extra work. I ain't gonna lie. I think it sounds good right there, but I don't know what he's chasing. I guess some mythical sound. Hopefully he gets it, but GG's to the fabricator, bro. GG's to the fabricator.
Not only from 450 to 483 horsepower, but it also makes all that power sooner. What that means for drifting, torque is everything, and I think we went from like 280 foot-pounds to 320 foot-pounds. That torque is gonna be massive. Not having this dip is gonna make the car feel so much smoother. But full disclaimer, this is an LZ tune. I think there might even be more left in it once Freddie's available and he can spend some time on it. What we're actually going to do is put individual wide bands in all of the different runners. That way we can trim the rotors, make sure fueling is good on all of them, and we suspect that this rollover up top might have something to do with our trigger system.
Bro, he didn't get the sound, so I'm gonna keep my night gooning, brother. He didn't get it. You see, he said he's still chasing it, so it's like I still get to keep it.
As long or as in-depth of a video like this was, but we're gonna continue to mess with it. We'll bring you guys along for the journey. I love this because there's so much to learn. Even though it's a weird engine, we can apply a lot of the things that we're finding out with this onto the other builds. The guys say it sounds slightly different, but I feel like the best way to really tell is to go and drive it. So of course, to end the video, we'll go try the new setup. I'll let you guys know if I can actually feel.
I'm telling you, bro.
You
already seen, like, I heard it off the headphones. It sounds insanely different.
For the better car.
Straight cut gears in the cabin too, and insanity. Bro, that thing sounds good, bro. I don't know what he's chasing, dog. It's spitting flames. That car is nasty, bro. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, Breeze. That boy is a demon. Like you see a YouTuber every now and then do a donut, but yeah, Adam can really drive. Ooh, Adam, damn. Isn't that how he macked into a tree with his other whip too? Brother gotta get some more pavement. W saved though. Insanity.
Did it sound different?
Yes.
It did?
Yes.
I felt like in the car it sounded a little bit more high pitch. It's definitely not the 787B sound. It's definitely not the same as like James Dean's 4-rotor. It absolutely feels a lot smoother power band wise. I feel like it's so hard to tell with drifting the extra whatever 40 horsepower, but not having that dip is huge. Yeah. Because before I used to come down this straight and you would feel it kind of go like, almost like it had VTEC. Now it's just like flat the whole time.
That's sick.
I definitely thought I was going into the trees on that one time, bro.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Well, he had the K-truck there, and I was like, oh, I can make it around that. But it had me go deep. This car is like, I wish, I've heard not so great things about the Supra.
Nah, his shit.
Really high level competition.
And the fact that they weren't even phased by those flames, yeah, that car's probably been doing that for a minute. It's a monster build.
Like FD, like you can't get enough grip out of the rear end. I love the way this car drives so much though. I can hop in this car after not driving it forever and go throw it around and it just like does what I want. It's sick. So again, you know, to sum it up, we didn't achieve what we were out to do with the sound and we still have stuff that we can try with it. But a byproduct of it was making a lot more power and making an even better version of the same car. So the saga of experimentation with the four rotor is definitely not done, but one more check mark and a lot learned.
I'm pretty sure that's the end of it, right? Yeah, it's the end of the video. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I honestly was not expecting that for Adam. That boy gave me a whole bibliography of terms and science about physics of a 7.4 whatever B. Goddamn, brother. I didn't think it was gonna go that deep. Other than that, he has a nasty car. W for the sound. I don't know what he's chasing, but I think it sounds really good, bro. So